Hey everybody, how's it going? Cindy here, and I have some more tips for you. I hope you're having a great start to your week. And we're going to talk about your to-do list. And I know a lot of people that I talk to say, oh, it's just crazy, it's out of control, there's too much. So if you feel like your to-do list is out of control, like it stays the same length no matter how much you accomplish, um, you're not alone, especially if you have ADHD like me, because many of us feel completely overwhelmed with just the increasing number of expectations, responsibilities, and commitments that are facing us every single day. So where do we begin? If you are on my email list, then you got an email this week with some tips, and hopefully those were helpful. I try to provide a lot of value in those emails. So if you're not on my email list, you're missing out on finding out all of the things going on. I don't spam. Yes, occasionally I tell you stuff that's for sale, but that's only things that I think you'd be interested in. And most of the time it's just tips and helpful information. So if you're not on my email list, send me a message and let me add you. But I want to give you just some tips, maybe things you've heard of before, but we're going to talk just about taming that to-do list. So I'm just curious, if you are watching this live, if you could say hi in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from. If you're watching the replay, let me know whatever platform you're watching this on. I would just love to know your comments. I'd love to know your thoughts about your to-do list. Like, do you feel like it's out of control? Are you managing it okay? Do you have any tips that have worked for you? Whether or not you have ADHD doesn't matter. So to tame your to-do list, that's, we want to do that, right? Because taming your to-do list saves you time and it cuts down on stress. Because sorry, when you look at this huge long list of stuff, it just gets overwhelming to think about, right? And so then a lot of times we just don't even want to start. So first you need some mindset shifts. And I know whenever I say the word mindset, people go, they turn off. But mindset, yeah, it's an overused word. It is, I admit, but I can't think of a better terminology for it, because you do have to kind of change your way of thinking. First is that you have to remember that you cannot do everything. But you can, whether you have ADHD or not, it doesn't matter. You can focus on what is most important. And that's the key. And of course, in my coaching program, we go deep dive into all that. But remember, that's the first thing. You should remember you cannot do everything. The second is to remember that your job title is not all that you are. You have other roles and responsibilities in life that are also important. And so much of our identity gets wrapped up in our jobs or our role or our title. So change that mindset. And another mindset shift is just, remember, it is not productive to try to strive for the perfect schedule. Now I have in the past said, imagine your perfect day, but that's more just for visualization to help you with goal setting and planning. But, things happen that are unplanned, things happen that are without your, beyond your control or not in your control. And so you can't have, life is not perfect, so it's not productive to try to strive for the perfect schedule. Instead, the aim should be a sustainable schedule, Another mindset, can't talk, mindset shift is being intentional is what matters. Being intentional is what matters. The more intentional that you are about where you spend your time, and how you spend your time, then the more effective you're going to be, and the less stressed and less frazzled you're going to feel. Okay. So you have to be intentional about your time. You can't just do whatever you feel like doing because you probably won't get the important things done. So you got to start taming your to-do list. First, start by just writing down everything. I call this a brain dump when you just get everything out on paper, because it's rattling around in there and it's hard to remember things. But you feel this pressure to remember it. Oh, I got to remember this. I got to remember that. No, you don't. You just write it down. You don't have to remember it. So write down everything that's on your plate. And this can include tasks on your current to-do list. And it can be things that you do on a regular basis. Just maintenance things. So after you do that, just kind of list it all out. For each item on your list, you can do one of 4 things. Okay. And so you could put a little code next to each one, or a little symbol, or however you want to do it, or initials. So the first thing you can do is trash it. If it's not necessary, stop doing it and stop writing it on your to-do list. Why are you doing that? Just stop. It's not necessary. And all it's doing is adding to your list of tasks that you feel like you have to do. So just stop today. Can you eliminate any of those items on your list? Be kind of brutal with yourself. And ask yourself, can you eliminate any of the items on that list? And if you think there's nothing on the list, just nothing at all that you could stop doing, then I would challenge you on that. Take a closer look. Consider taking a closer look, because most likely you could trash a few tasks on your list, even if you're just trashing it temporarily. Okay. If you're a digital marketer, examples might be spending hours creating the perfect graphic in Canva, going down the internet rabbit hole with extra research, changing out the decor in your office. Those things do not have to be done. They're enjoyable possibly, or they give you a little dopamine rush when you finish, but those could go. And there's a whole lot I could say about this, but we'll have a different training on this sometime. But you got to learn to say no to taking on extra roles at home, at work, at church, volunteer things in the community. If they're not the best use of your time, you're going to have to learn to say no. Again, digital marketing, do your videos have to be perfect? I go live a lot and it's definitely not perfect. And I just leave it like that, Yes, I could go back and edit, but it takes time, and that's not something that has to be done. So leave some of the mistakes in and then just let it be raw and simple instead of wasting hours trying to perfect them. And this perfectionism comes to play too. And we've talked about that before. So you can trash it. You can trim it. So maybe you scale down that item. You don't take it off your list, but you do it less, or you put boundaries around it. There are tasks that have to be done. So you can't just trash them. However, you may be able to trim them down. So stay focused, be intentional. And the more you stick to this, the more powerful this strategy will be. Example might be checking email. Do you really have to check email every time you hear a ding? First of all, turn off that notification. Second of all, commit to checking your email 3 times a day. instead of continually throughout the day. Schedule a time for email, for responding, for checking, and people will get used to that after a while. You do not have to constantly respond, because then you're letting someone else plan your day instead of you taking control of your schedule. But put specific boundaries around the time that you spend posting updates, things like that. There's a whole lot more I could say about that, but for the sake of time, we'll go on to the third one. And these are all T's, by the way. So make a great sermon. You know how a pastor always has like 3 points and they all start with the same letter. Transfer it. Okay. So trash it, trim it, transfer it, get others to help you. And this one is hard for people sometimes because it requires giving up control. I have been told, especially by my husband, that I struggle with this control thing. But the truth is that there are a lot of tasks that somebody else could do. Somebody else could do better than you, faster than you, and might even like to do it more than you do. So at first, it might take a little longer because you're going to have to teach somebody how you want a certain task done. But in the end time, you're going to, save time, and it's going to make it worth it. So I'm trying to think. So for instance, I have hired somebody to build sales funnels for me, work on my website, do some techie things like that. I knew how to do it and I could do it, but it would have taken me longer. I wouldn't know how to troubleshoot some problems I might come across. And so, even though you know how to do something, it doesn't mean you need to be the one to do it. So if you're an entrepreneur, especially an online entrepreneur like me, what about hiring a virtual assistant? They could be just very part-time, and that would free you up to work in your zone of genius and not get bogged down with things that you hate to do, or things you're really not good at, So trash it, trim it, transfer it, and the last T is treasure it. If it is important, if it's beneficial, then leave it on your list. And in order to figure out what those items are, like what you need to treasure, then you're going to need to decide which items on your list are most important. And there's a series of questions I go over in my coaching program about how to prioritize. But you want to ask yourself, what tasks actually bring you closer to your goals? If you're an entrepreneur, which tasks are revenue producing? Is rearranging the items on your shelf in your office, is that going to bring you more money, or is working on the copy for a sales page? Well, you have to ask yourself, which items are more important? Which tasks are going to bring you closer to your goals? These are the tasks that you need to treasure. If you have a business, 80% of your time needs to be engaged in revenue producing activities, which is sales and marketing. And so if you're not doing that, and maybe you can do like a little assessment and time audit and look at how you're spending your time, then you might want to rethink this to-do list. So which things like really light you up? What are the things that really align with your values that you feel good about? Those are the things that you want to hang on to, things that you want to prioritize. So if you're listening to this early in the week of August 26th, that week, I want to invite you to a free live workshop, little mini workshop that I'm doing on Thursday, August 29th, 2024. In case you're watching the replay, this is just for this week. And I want to invite you to attend. It's free and it's called the Get More Done, Even with ADHD. So whether or not you have ADHD or not, this is a system on how you can get things done. So I'll put the link in different places where this is posted. And I hope you have a great and very, very productive week. And I will see you next time.